Good morning, everybody. Hi there. I'm Steve. I'm one of the main leaders or key leaders in church life. And I really want to give everyone here a warm welcome, especially if you're new to this church or you're new to church. You're exploring faith. You are really welcome here this morning. I love quizzes. But I don't love quizzes when it's just me. I like to hide my ignorance in a big team. I don't know about you, but I've had that experience of being so embarrassed. I remember when I first came to this church, I went to a church social and we had a music quiz, popular music, and we got into pairs and somebody chose me to be their partner. And this person had just come into the country and I knew they would know nothing about popular music. And most pairs got about 20 out of 30, but we got, I can remember, we got 4. It was so embarrassed. He picked the wrong person. I remember going to a wedding where we were playing football over the weekend, and the 2 captains had to choose people, and one of the captains chose me first, and I cringed because I knew, well, I could play football a bit, but I knew there were some guys there that were way better than me, and I knew we were in trouble right from the start. We lost about 10-2. Again, he'd picked the wrong guy. I don't know whether you can identify with that feeling this morning of either not being picked for something or nobody wanting you on their team, and maybe that's might sum up your life, that somehow you feel nobody wants you, you're not picked, and sometimes when we start the new year, we want the new year to be different. We look back at the old year and we think, we think of all the bad things we've done and how life didn't quite work out and so on. And we struggle. But the wonderful thing about Jesus, or one of the wonderful things, is that he forgives us. That he wants to pick us on his team despite our failings and our messes and our problems. He keeps wanting to pick us and for us to be on his team. And I feel, maybe just prophetically, I felt that if you have failed the education system or the education system has failed you, this is for you this morning. And for everyone who feels broken and not picked and not valued, that God wants to pick you. Jesus wants to pick you. That's one of the beautiful things about him, Jesus. So let's read a story about Jesus, about how he picks the broken, the hurting, and the weak. Luke 5. One day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding round him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats, left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put it out a little from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we have worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats to so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you will fish for people." So they pulled up their boats on shore and left everything and followed him. In the passage, Simon has an amazing encounter with Jesus. They had fished all night, not got anything. But Jesus says, go into deep water and you'll catch fish. And Simon says, okay, I know you're probably wrong, but just to humor you, he goes out and he fishes out in the deep water. And this huge catch of fish comes in. And then he, aware that Jesus is no ordinary man, he says, away from me, for I am a sinful man. Of course, Jesus was well aware of Simon before that happened. He knew everything about him. But instead of just getting rid of Simon, Jesus says, don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. And I believe this morning that Jesus says to us, don't be afraid. I want you. There's things that you can do for me. Later on in Mark 5, I'm not going to read it, but Jesus calls Levi or Matthew, the tax collector, a despised person in that society. He calls him, and the Pharisees, and then Matthew throws a party, and the Pharisees and all the tax collectors and sinners come to his house. And Jesus goes there, and the Pharisees complain, why, Jesus, are you spending time with them? And Jesus answers, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, but those who are ill. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. You see, repentance, sometimes a very religious-y word, isn't it? You think, ugh, but actually it's about where you get the source of life. It's about a change of mind. Instead of getting your life in stuff and things and passions or whatever, you're getting your life in Jesus and choosing to go Jesus' way. That's what repentance is about. It's a change of mind. And I think the good news for us this morning is that Jesus picks the broken. He picks you and I, and welcomes us with all our failings. And he picks us at the beginning of 2019, whatever our failings, and says, I want you. I want you. I want you. Whatever you are, nobody here is rejected by Jesus. He's calling every single person here this morning to follow him and be with him. What does it look like? Maybe, why follow Jesus? Why follow Jesus? Well, I think there's so many reasons why I'd like to tell you why you should follow Jesus, but we don't have time this morning. So I'm going to just tell you a few things. Well, one of them is just simply that Jesus is historical character, that Simon encountered Jesus. The early disciples, they encountered Jesus. They lived their lives for Jesus. They even died for Jesus. They knew it was true. They had this real encounter with a real Jesus. One of the other reasons I just am so convinced about Jesus is some of the stories that I have read over the years about Jesus. Here's one from Sean Boltz in his book, Translating God. I've seen the video of this as well, so I know this really did happen. When I watched the video, you could see the responses of people's face. This was no setup. This you can go and look at it online. Not now, because you're meant to be listening to me, but you can hear this, you can watch this. So Sean Boltz is a prophetic speaker. After the worship service, he went up to the onto the stage, and he began to talk to the worship leader, who he did not know at all. And he says this. He said, "I've just heard a song by the singer Tiffany. I think we're all alone now." And Sean says, "Is your wife's name Tiffany?" I asked nervously but full of anticipation. I didn't know where this was going. "Yes," the worship leader said. And he held up Tiffany's hand, who was right next to him. "Does Clay Aiken have anything to do with you?" I asked, as in my heart and mind I saw a flash of the face of the American singer. "Yes, that is our last name, Aitken," he said. I gave them some more words to them that encouraged them. Then I saw two names, and Missouri. Is there a Chris and a Laura in Missouri? Ah, yes, the worship leader said, they're my cousins. Then I went beyond a word of knowledge and prophetic ministry, and I looked behind them, and I saw something much more real. I saw in heaven, and a little boy was running with Jesus, holding hands with him. Instantly, I knew a bunch of information about that boy, as if it was downloaded to me like a computer downloads information. But this came with an abundance of love and connection to the little boy and his family. I said out aloud, I see a runner in heaven. He couldn't run on earth, but he's running in heaven. He's running, holding hands with Jesus and praying over the destiny of the family. Mr. Aitken's cousins had just lost their little boy to Parkinson's a few weeks before. His dad was a runner, and he loved running so much that he actually named his boy Runner. So when I used this phrase, I didn't even mean to use, God was intentionally using it. The family needed heavenly resolution that only God could bring. It had been such a painful experience to lose him when he was so happy and had fought so hard and taught everyone so much. I could feel now that same sense of the presence of God. But it wasn't just energy around me. It was him, a present God, standing with us. He was there. He was giving me his relational heart. He was the power from which I spoke and the power that was healing this family. What an incredible story, but a true story of God touching lives. Now, why do I tell you this big story? In some ways we can't really copy that, but who knows as God leads us. But because it excites me that God is the real reality. You know, we get so wrapped up with what we eat and drink and wear and busyness of life and work and this and television, But actually the truest and most beautiful and true reality behind the backdrop of absolutely everything is the reality of Jesus and God and his reality, his truth. And that is what we need to know. And that encourages me to press into more of God. Why do I love Jesus? Why should you follow Jesus? I think Jesus is the best at dealing out with our past, that he forgives us and he loves us. I think Jesus is the best person at dealing with our present, that he is here with me. I'm just not alone. He is here to help me, to hold my hand, to teach me in my difficult and hard moments. He is in our future. You know, as a country, we face an uncertain future with Brexit and so on, and people are feeling down about that. But with Jesus, we can face this, you know. There's hope in Jesus. And when maybe we suffer and death will come one day to us, there is hope in Jesus. I think Jesus is the best answer to my past. Jesus is the best answer to the present. Jesus is the best answer to the future. He is the one. He is the one to follow. One of my favorite verses is this, may the Lord direct your heart into God's love and Christ's perseverance. I want to follow Jesus because he is love. God is love. If we think love is the most important thing, Jesus and following him is all about love. It is all about him and sharing his love. Don't you want to be in that kind of environment? And I think I want to follow Jesus even though it's hard. Sometimes it's hard being a Christian. Sometimes life is hard. And there's a need just to persevere, isn't there? And we need to follow Jesus in his perseverance. He had an amazing task. His story, the thing that he did is the most wonderful task of all. And he has won. And fighting with Jesus in love, we are following the fight of all. So I want to recommend to you Jesus this morning and following him. So what does it mean? What does following Jesus look like? It isn't really about doing things. It's about a relationship and being with him. He is there. You know, when Simon was called, follow me, they were following Jesus. He was there. And that didn't end, because in Matthew 28, at the end of Matthew's gospel, he says to the disciples, go and make other disciples. And you and I, we're these disciples now. And he says, surely I will be with you to the end of the age. Jesus is with us by his Holy Spirit. He has promised never to leave us. You know, right throughout the Bible, every major character hears God say, I am with you. Abraham, Moses, Jacob, Joshua, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Daniel. They all hear God say, I am with you. The big question is not whether God is with us, but whether we're with God. Whether we choose to have each moment to be a with Jesus moment, to be a with God moment, because that's what he wants. That's what he desires and wants for us. He is wanting to relate, to connect, to be intimate with us, even though we're broken people. He just longs for us to come to him. And secondly, so there's my picture there, an intimacy. But it is a call to be like him. See, Jesus loves us in our brokenness, but he loves us too much to keep us just there. He wants to change us and to bring us to be the people he wants us to be. When young parents rejoice over the birth of a new child, they love that child, but that child is difficult and crying and has needs, and there's mess at both ends. And yeah, they love that child, don't they? But do they want that child to stay as they are? No. They'll do everything they possibly can to develop that child, to bring that child into the potential that they're meant to be. And Jesus is exactly the same with you and I in our brokenness, that he wants to take us where we're meant to go, to be the best possible you. That's what Jesus is after. Very early on, when Jesus meets Simon, he changes his name and he calls him Peter, doesn't he? And Peter, he was that outspoken guy that Jesus had to say, get behind me, Satan. He even denied Jesus when Jesus needed him most of all. He denied him 3 times. But Jesus saw a potential in him. He saw that he would be a rock. And that's what Peter means. That's why he changed his name. He saw that he'd be Peter the rock. And Peter turned out to be that person leading the early church. And Jesus restored Peter, didn't he? He restored him in John 21. He asked him 3 times, do you love me? It's lovely that we sang that song, wasn't it? I love you. Do you love me? Do you love me? Jesus asked him that 3 times and recommissioned him and said, go, feed my sheep. And I believe Jesus wants to do that with us at the beginning of 2019. He's not given up with any of us, even though we mess up. He wants us to be. He sees us as potential. He sees us not as we have become, but as what he originally intended us to be. What we originally intended to be. Jesus is in that business. Caterpillar was intended to be a butterfly. There is something about change that Jesus wants to bring. Okay, it's not a click change in our lives, but it's a process. And we, in our series that we're doing about following Jesus in the book of Luke, we're going to look at some of the ways that Jesus can begin to change us. But firstly, it's a call to be with Jesus. It's a call to begin to look like Jesus. And thirdly, it's a call to do the things that Jesus does. I love it about Jesus. He picks me as I am, but also he values me, and he picks me for his team. He picks us for his team. That together with Jesus, together with the love of Jesus, together with the Holy Spirit in us, we can do things. Every person here has something that they can give and contribute to society and contribute to the kingdom of Jesus. Nobody is excluded from that. He gives purpose to our lives in a way that nothing else can do. We can all love with the love of Jesus. We can all bring hope, and we can all bring people into an encounter with Jesus. I love it that Peter says, "Go away from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man." And immediately Jesus says, "Don't be afraid. I want you to go and be fishers of men." I just love that. And maybe you're hung up with the idea of Jesus catching people as fishers of men. It isn't really about catching people. For Jesus, it's about releasing people to be who they're meant to be. Do you know, we can all love. We can all be friendly. We can all listen to people. Listening shows that we love people. I want us to be a people who are friendly. You know, are you friendly to your neighbours? Do you say hello? Are you friendly to the people that you meet on the street? Are we friendly? Because that can often bring out, and you begin to listen to their stories, and you love them, and you listen to them, and that can be a framework which to then things can progress even more. But we can all do that, can't we? I love it that Jesus didn't start with Simon by saying, "You are a sinner." He didn't do that, did he? He blessed him. He met his need of fish right where he was in his real earthy, watery life. You know, he met him there, didn't he, with this catch of fish. So I want to encourage you just to love people, to listen to people. Everybody can do that. But maybe once you've listened to their story, to go on a little bit further and perhaps pray for them and see what God does. I've had the privilege of being involved in Food Bank, and people have often really appreciated me praying for them. And I've prayed in other circumstances as well. So just because you're not involved in Food Bank, that doesn't mean you can't do that in other places. It's been great. Christmas time, I hadn't been volunteering for a while, and I did it at Christmas, and I was able to sit and to listen to a number of people and hear their story, and then offer to pray for them, to bless them even before they got their life sorted out. Because that's what Jesus did to Simon, didn't he? And all these people, they really appreciated. Some of them welled up with emotion because I'd prayed for them. Often people say, "Oh, I've never had someone pray for me before." Wasn't that lovely? You can just do a simple prayer. Like something like, "Lord God, I know you love," let's call him Simon. I know, Lord, that you care about him. I know, Lord, that you don't really want Simon to have these problems and messes that you're in today. Lord, would you just put your peace in their heart? Would you give them joy and hope? And would you bring them into all the good things that you have for them? Isn't that the heart of Jesus, to do that? It's good, isn't it? I remember one girl with 2 children sort of standing tall and saying, "Wow, nobody has ever blessed me before." Wow. Just because we're so downtrodden all the time, aren't we? But actually God wants to bless people, doesn't he? So we can listen to people and show love. We can be friendly. We could even pray for them in their need. But maybe we could listen to what Jesus is saying. We could listen to the Holy Spirit. Just as, Simon did all his busyness of trying to fish and fish and fish and fish. Eventually, you listened to Jesus. Because you say so. Go and do this. And maybe we can learn to listen to Jesus this year. That would be my aim for us as church. That we would listen to Jesus. Scholars and theologians tell us that probably Luke 19 verse 10 perhaps is the key verse of the Gospel of Luke. That the Son of Man came to seek and save that which was lost. He reveals the heart of God for you and I, doesn't he, in that, I think. And the Holy Spirit is here, and he is the Spirit of Jesus. So the Holy Spirit still has that heart in the world, doesn't he? And the Holy Spirit is moving amongst all you today and out in the world. And he is moving in people's lives. And what he wants us to do is to cooperate with the Holy Spirit in bringing people into that encounter with Jesus. Yeah? He wants to do that. He wants to do that through even me. Let me tell you about some of my tentative steps in this, okay? I've got a few stories. I can only tell you one this morning, but I was coming back from America. I got a taxi ride from the airport back to Bristol. I was so tired, exhausted, and I slept in the back of the car. But as I woke, I thought, Lord, do you want me to engage in conversation with this guy, this taxi driver? That's kind of been my kind of practice beginning to be. But I was just so exhausted. I thought, Lord, you will have to show me something if you want me to talk to this guy. So I kind of fell back to sleepish, and almost immediately I had this picture of the words Noah came up. So I thought, okay, really? Do I have to do this? But I thought, well, so I engaged with him in conversation. Just general chit-chat and stuff. And then towards the end I said, well, does the word Noah mean anything to you? And he said, well, except the fact that it's pouring with rain, just like in the Bible flood. And we both just laughed. That was not the connection in my mind at all, I have to say. But it came a conversation. I was able to talk about spiritual things and stuff that he was doing, and his wife was involved in the food bank, and we were able to talk a bit. As we step out, I've rarely found that they have been bad conversations, even if my word Noah didn't quite land as I thought it was. But it gave me an opportunity to share something of Jesus with people. Okay? The reality is we become spiritually alive as we express and share our faith. We only get to keep that which we give away. It's totally different from the world. We have a car, a nice car, and we enjoy that car, don't we? Only if you keep it. But in the Christian life, if you keep Jesus to yourself, keep his joy and his love, it runs cold, it goes a bit stale. But if we give it away, it becomes fresh and new and life-giving. You see, we only get to keep what we give away. Totally different from the world, isn't it? But that's true about us. So how do we land this morning? What practical things can we do? First of all, I'd love you to come as you are to Jesus. Think of something fresh that you can keep doing, or you can do afresh, just to be with Jesus, that you haven't been doing currently. What might it be? Some practical step, making sure you do read your Bible each day. Perhaps you pray each day. Perhaps you go to pursue, or you serve. Just to be with Jesus, however small it is. It doesn't have to be big. Make sure that you do something regular with Jesus. Re-energize that. The second thing, I want us to go. How might we go? What practical thing can you do? Can you say hello to your neighbour? Can you listen to them? Sometimes it can be boring, yes, but listen, because listening is loving. Can you be listening to the Holy Spirit this year? Maybe that's your goal, and I'd like to really encourage you. I'm saying this because I want to encourage me in this too, you know. I love what we've been doing in Awake. I love the prophetic thing that we do before Pursue, where we're trying to listen for people. And this is growing in church life, and it's exciting that is true. Let us be a listening church. And as we go out today, I've got a card with some Bible verses on to help us to do something practical out of this talk and the series that we're doing about Jesus and following him. And I'd love you to take a card. But for me, I think it would be tremendous if in church we began to listen to Jesus and we began to follow him more. Derek said last week that it may not be an easy year, but it can be a good year as we depend on the Holy Spirit. Wouldn't it be amazing if we listened to what Jesus was saying? And because he says so, we might not get an incredible catch of fish in our problems that we have, but he's promised that he will be with us. Wouldn't it be amazing as churches and as individuals, it was a time with Jesus here? Wouldn't it be amazing that as we listen to Jesus, because he says so, as we listen to his Holy Spirit, we might find him coming in and blessing us individually. We might find him touching lives. Wouldn't that be astonishing if we listened to Jesus and he brought in that big catch in our individual lives and in his life as a church? Let's listen to Jesus. This may not be an easy year, but it can be a good year when we depend on the Holy Spirit.